Welcome, everybody, to the Keepers of the Watch podcast. I'm your host, Scott Jones. I want to thank you for joining us, and I want to thank our sponsors, One Brother, One Sister, for allowing us to do this right here in the Sober Life Studios, talking to first responders, talking to veterans, talking to medical workers, anybody who is one of the keepers of the watch, the people that watch over us, the people that look out for us. That's the people we want to celebrate on this show. But not just celebrate them and not just do the whole hero worship thing, because we all appreciate them in the job they do. I want people to learn about what they actually do and the kind of people that they actually are. And let's see what we could do to help them out a little bit. I've got my friend Tommy Bolin here. We've known each other for, I guess, over a year now. Tommy's from Ohio. He's come down here for a little visit to our beautiful little place here in South Florida. And you missed it. Last week we had Ohio weather here.
I heard.
It was in the 30s.
Yeah, I heard. I brought the warmth down with you, but even though it's not.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But Thomas from Ohio, 30-year firefighter, and so many other things that he does. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his book and all those things. But Tom, thanks for coming in, brother.
Yeah,
I really appreciate
it. It's awesome to be in the studio.
Yeah, I know. It's something. Did we do a show? Was it remote though?
It was remote, like a year and a half.
It's so much better here, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We get to see each other and talk.
Yeah.
It's good. And I know you're in a whirlwind. You came in yesterday. You got to fly out tonight.
Yeah, real quick trip.
You got a quick trip, but we got a lot of good things in store. But let's tell everybody a little bit about you. Again, 30-year firefighter. Mm-hmm. Was that like a family thing? Because a lot of times it's family. We got a family of first responders, police, fire, veterans, whatever. How did you get into firefighting?
Yeah, it was not really. So I do have family members. My uncle, my cousins were firefighters. My father was a factory worker, so no, it wasn't really part of our immediate family, just like, uncles and cousins and stuff. But yeah, honestly, I think a lot of this stuff, I was just talking to Karen a little bit ago, a lot of this stuff, it comes from a lot of people who get in these professions, it comes from their childhood. Like mine came from an area of I just didn't feel like I belonged for a long time. And that carried into my early adulthood life. And then when the fire service came around, when I started thinking about the fire service, it all made sense to me. Family, brotherhood, sisterhood, structure, being part of something of greater purpose, bigger than myself. So it all just kind of pushed me toward that profession. I think a lot of us are actually pushed toward these professions just because of the family that we want.
Looking for that structure.
That structure, yeah.
Yeah, and we see that a lot with people who go into the military, but police, fire, and certainly EMS, paramedics, and there is a structure that's similar to a military. I mean, you have to go through training. You have to qualify for all sorts of things that you do. You're continuously training.
Yeah.
And you have standards that you have to hold yourself to.
Yep.
But 30 years is a long time, my friend. And you
time.
Don't look like you could have done 30 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 29, but not 30.
I appreciate that.
But
thanks, Scott.
No, I'm just kidding, brother. 30 years, must have been a lot of changes in 30 years.
So many changes. When I first came in the fire service, example, a lot of my old lieutenants and stuff that I had were all Vietnam veterans, just rough, tough, you knew what you signed up for. You better, suck it up. Don't show any weakness. And it got you by for a while. But then once you start experiencing everything that comes with the job that they don't talk about, the unresolved traumas, the sleep deprivation is huge in the fire service, and the chronic stress. It's just an accumulation of all those years of this stuff that they never talk about. But we get programmed early on that, hey, you're a man, you suck it up. You knew what you signed up for, push forward. And so you don't want to show those cracks in your armor. You don't ever want to show any weakness because you don't want to ever be the burden.
And that wasn't just an individual hubris or you guys coming out and saying, I'm a tough guy. Yeah. That was actually the culture of the job, wasn't it? I mean, it was almost expected. Everything all the way down to tough days end in the bar with everybody drinking until they feel better. I mean, is that accurate?
Absolutely. My wife even said that a while back. It's like when we have a really rough day, we go drown it away. And I mean, we'd be at the bar sometimes, when my first department I worked at, our roll call was at 7:00, and we knew what bars opened up early, so we was at the bar by 7:30, 8:00. Just kind of after bad runs or something like that, just trying to cope. And
it wasn't a matter of you guys trying to do something that wasn't correct.
No,
you just didn't know.
No, we had no idea.
I mean, we're there. Let's go again, 30 years ago, or 25 years ago. The first few years, were there discussions about mental health amongst the people in the department, amongst the firefighters themselves, the guys on the truck? Were you ever even talking about that stuff?
No, never. Honestly, when we first came out, I mean, critical incident, the CISD stuff didn't come around till.
But that's recent.
Well,
when you think about
10, 15 years. Maybe,
that's pretty recent
maybe
when you think about it.
Yeah, it's pretty recent. But no, like you said, we never talked about it. We just we pushed it down. We manned up and we soldiered on. That's just what we did.
I understand that there was a lot of, I guess, what we would call inappropriate humor today.
Oh, a lot of dark humor.
But there was a lot of dark humor. Just that, and that wasn't because you were trying to be a sicko. That was a coping mechanism, wasn't it?
It was definitely a coping mechanism. Yeah, and we used to. I mean, some of the stuff. If anybody would listen to some of our stuff in the firehouse, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe." But to us, it's just normal banter and dark humor back and forth with each other. Yeah.
And I'm sure some of that still exists, but there's also
it does.
This can't be the only thing I'm doing, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it like I said, we're starting to get better about the mental health aspect of all this stuff. But the funny thing is Ohio at least, they don't really talk. It's not part of the curriculum to talk about mental health in the fire service or paramedic school or anything like that. It's we when I go out and lecture, I tell people like, hey, where in what fire school, what police academy, what medic school did they teach you? Hey, suck it up. You can't show any weakness. And I'm like, they never taught you that. It's just the culture. It's a culture we grew up in.
Exactly.
But the problem is they teach us all the tactical stuff, the stuff that will keep us alive. But most, like the biggest killers of firefighters and police officers is suicide. It's not line of duty deaths. It's not, it's the top three is cancer, heart disease, and suicide. And all that comes from stress, sleep deprivation, everything that comes along with all this stuff. It's an accumulation of everything. And they don't teach us how to deal with it. They don't teach us how to cope with that stuff. They don't give us resources. They never gave us resources early on and stuff. And even today, it blows my mind because we're still, now I have schools call me and say, hey, listen, will you come down and talk to our people about, what you do with your classes? And I was like, absolutely, I'll do it, because they understand the importance of it.
Yeah.
But it's not part of the curriculum. So a lot of the schools don't even do it. I'll ask people, I'll say, hey, how much time do you spend learning how to roll a fire hose? And they'll be like, well, it's like an 8-hour class, but 4 or 5 hours we're done to let us go. I'm like, oh, so there's time there. There's time there to do it. We just need to restructure how we do it.
And the thing is, with one brother, one sister, and with you, for the training you've been doing, and we'll talk more in depth about that, but we show up and we're giving them this information and they're grateful for it. Mm-hmm. But like you said, we're bringing it in when they want for a little something extra. Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't be a little something extra. It should be standardized.
It should be standardized.
It should be. But you know what? Again, it's taken us a long time to get to this point. Mm-hmm. Think about the last 30 years, the changes in the firehouse itself, a lot more women involved in firefighting now, different cultures, different languages, different belief systems are all coming in. That's a lot to navigate just in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a good thing.
Of course
it's all a good thing. But it is a lot to navigate. There's just a lot of different aspects of the job that people don't know about.
Right.
And like a lot of people, they'll joke around, hey, you guys sit around on the couch, watch TV and play Xbox all day. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't see, the 6 kids we just pulled out of this car, a month ago. That's the stuff they don't see. They see they think that we're just sitting around doing nothing until the call comes in, but they don't see the other side of the call.
Yeah. And when they do think about the adventure, they're thinking about, I saw this in the movie Backdraft. Right. I saw this on TV. I'm going to take you back. Squad 51.
I remember that. Johnny Roy. Yeah.
Johnny Roy. There you go.
Yeah.
And they remember, look at he went down and he pulled the guy out, and then everything was fine. It lasted about 15 minutes.
Right.
And everybody went back. Uniforms clean, and they were all good. And
everything was sunshine and rainbows, right?
I mean, even the simple things
Mhm.
are so much more complicated than
Yeah.
that. Is educating the public on that stuff important at this point? Do we need to have a better view of this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think
I
the
mean,
public's going to think what they think.
All right.
I think that it's the service that we do is much deeper than what they see. If that makes sense, there's just a lot more involved. And like I said, it's not just the dangerous calls like the fires and stuff like that. You know, it's the mental health issues that we're seeing with all of this trauma and all this sleep deprivation and stress that we constantly go through. It needs to be more education within the certain professions, within the police, within the fire. Certainly. And it needs to be like in that article I wrote recently, it needs to be like, you need to think of mental health like PPE. I mean, we take care of our PPE. We always make sure that it's clean and we're ready to go. We should treat mental health the same way.
PPE, personal protection equipment.
Correct. Yeah,
okay, so that's your masks, your jacket, your helmet, everything is part of that.
Yeah.
You're all geared up with everything except for what you need for your mental stability and your mental health.
Yeah.
And that the tools for those just as important as the jaws of life, if you ask me.
Just as important.
Yeah.
Yeah, just as important. And I'm not saying we're not doing, like, we've got a lot of good things going now. I mean, there's a lot of good things going with all these the things that One Brother, One Sister is doing is amazing. I'm super excited to be part of this program. I can't wait to see where this goes. But the problem is we're still seeing the actual numbers. You know, we're still seeing the suicides. We're still seeing the thousands upon thousands of our brothers and sisters out there suffering with substance abuse, you know, divorce rates, depression, anxiety. And we're not seeing a change. We're not changing the needle. We're not changing, you know, how
it's not moving very quickly. That's for sure.
I think it's getting better.
Yeah. But you know, you look at all the years.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you know, hundreds of years when you think about fire service itself, where it's always been like, you know, rub some dirt on it and move to the next call.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, again, you've been doing this for 30 years, so you saw some of the changes. I know one of the tipping points was 9/11.
Yeah.
We learned a lot about trauma during that, and more importantly, the aftermath of trauma and the things that went on. Was that an important point in how we view firefighting and first responders as a whole?
I think so for a while. You know, I think it did for a while, but over time, you know, people forget.
Oh, you can't sustain it. It's a starting point.
It's a starting point, right?
But you got to build on it.
Yeah, you got to build on it, and I don't think we ever build on it.
Okay.
Now, I'm talking about just the profession as a whole. Now, the mental health stuff, yes, we're starting to see forward progress on that.
Right.
And honestly, Scott, I think, you know, when I talk about the numbers about we're not seeing a change, I don't really know if we can actually look at the numbers and say that there hasn't been a change, because the problem is with suicides in the fire service, it's not mandatory reporting. They don't have to report it. So there's a website, Firefighter Behavioral Health Alliance with Jeff Dill. He actually goes out and he vets all these suicides to make sure. So he keeps the numbers, and we've seen an uptick between like 2000. You know, I think he goes 2015 and up. It's just you start seeing an uptick in line of suicide versus line of duty deaths. And I had an officer one time ask me. I showed this chart on one of my presentations, and he said, "Why do you think there's such an uptick?" And I said, "I don't think there is. We just never kept the data. It was never mandatory reporting. I think this has been this bad for a long, long time. I really do. I still think they say at least like, I think 30% of this still goes underreported. So it could be a lot worse than what we even know.
Not to mention the co-occurring disorders that go along that you're not sure, does that align with this category or this category for the loss of life or for whatever might happen. The fact that Jeff Dill is still out there and is still the number one guy, he's been doing it for quite a long time, but it hasn't been picked up by everybody, which you know, I had a pleasure of meeting him and having some nice conversations with him up in Illinois at one of the conferences, the IAFF conference. But yeah, I mean, it's a slow shift, but we're not seeing it shift very fast. 9/11 was a tipping point. I think what we're starting to see, and then of course, even the crisis intervention What'd you call it? CCIA?
CISD.
The CISD. So that's a crisis intervention.
Critical incident stress debriefing. Yeah.
I was so close.
Yeah,
I had a C word.
He was right there.
Critical but the even that came years after 9/11. It didn't come like the next day they said we need something to deal with this. It still took a long time. So this is a slow process.
Yeah.
What are some things that you're out there now in your training? And I'd love you to tell us, how you got into that. And you wrote your book. What do you see as the important next step that really should be happening right now? Or maybe you've seen a spark, but it's not taken off. What do you think?
Early education. Honestly, early education. We got to catch these kids when they're first coming in. We got to let them understand what they're getting into, first of all, and how to take care of themselves. And that's not just on the fire ground. That's your mind too. The biggest battle I faced, was my mind there at the end. That was the biggest struggle I ever faced. And we need early education, but we also need to, the thing is, once you leave this profession, you're still, just because you're gone shouldn't mean any support. And we got a lot of firefighters and paramedics who retire from the profession, and I've known several of them who have taken their lives. So we can't forget about the retirees either. But I think the biggest thing right now is we need to educate people more. It needs to be part of the continuing education. I think it actually should be, like we have mandatory trauma. We have to do a certain amount of trauma hours. We have to do a certain amount of cardiac hours. I think we should have to do a certain amount of mental health hours.
Well, you guys are constantly training.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that whole thing about, you sit around on the sofa playing Xbox if you're on a 48-hour shift or something. Yeah, it's like, if you don't get a lot of calls, that's all you do is sit around. They fill that up with training. They fill that up with things to do a lot of the time. And I think some of this mental health training should be a part of that rotation.
I think
it should be a constant revisit to that, including things like physical health and nutrition and all of that. And I know some of that has improved as well.
It has.
But so you say education is really the key to all of this.
Yeah, I think education. I think also we need to really work on removing the stigma that's around it. That's the biggest battle. And like I said in my article, it's we get this whole word weakness confused with two different things. I mean, there's fireground or tactical weakness, which means you're not ready, you're not trained, and you're not ready to do things on the fireground the way they're supposed to be, because people get hurt, people could die.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
But then we look on the other side, and then when we talk about the human response, and we talk about the human response of people struggling with these mental health issues, you can't apply the same tactical solution to a human response issue, and that's where we get the whole word weakness, because they lump everything in together.
Right.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so we need to separate both of those, because it's not one of the most bravest things anybody could ever do is honestly finally be done hurting and be vulnerable to talk about their issues and get help. And too many of us, it's our pride and our egos that get in the way. We don't want to be that guy. We don't want to be that person that shows any weakness or, and a lot of it's in our minds. I mean, I went to Maryland back in 2019 after a suicide attempt. And one of the biggest things I thought, going there, the biggest fear was, how are the guys going to see me afterwards? How are they going to look at me? Are they going to think I'm weak? I'm a lieutenant. Are they going to want to follow me? And I catastrophize. We tend to catastrophize things all the time. And I went in the morning because I wanted to tell the guys, hey, listen, this is what I'm dealing with. Because if you don't go and tell them, I know it's probably every firehouse in America, if you don't go and tell them why you're off for 30 days, they're going to make up their mind. It's going to be something crazy.
Yeah, right? Crazy. They'll figure something out. It's like,
and there's going to be rumors flying everywhere.
He went to Vegas, hit the jackpot.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so he's gone. So,
yeah.
But I called my guys in the morning, and I was like, hey, I just want you guys to know, man, I'm struggling really bad with my depression, the anxiety's out of control, my drinking's out of control. So I'm going away 30 days minimum to get some help. And one of the guys looked at me and said, hey, boss, we love you, and we got your back, and get back to us. We need you. The other 4 guys came up and hugged me and told me they love me. Mm. And in that moment, I wasn't their officer. I was their fellow brother. I was hurting, and they honestly had my back. And
I know that had to still be hard for you.
It was very hard.
First responder or not, there's a difficulty in asking for help for most people to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to be in your position of, there's so many things that are the possibilities of the weakness, how they're going to see me. How am I going to see myself after this?
Yeah.
How can I even look myself in the mirror if I can't be strong enough for these guys?
Right.
How come I was next to Bob during all this time and Bob's okay and I'm not? Why not? We compare to each other.
We do.
And what we don't see is that you asking for that help, somebody heard that. And when they're in trouble, they say, well, wait a minute, if Tommy did it.
Yeah.
Have you had that kind of experience where people have come to you and said?
I actually have that story.
Really?
Yeah. So I was the first one from my department to go to Maryland to get help at the IFS Center of Excellence. And when I got back, I opened up about my story and started talking to people. And within a 3 or 4 month period, I had 4 other guys come to me, and they were struggling. And they ended up in Maryland. So kind of not it's not about me, but I kind of opened that door up for them. Like, hey,
it's another level of strength that you found. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
It's actually by being vulnerable. It's not weakness. It shows strength that now I can help others.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Is that the point? Obviously, and I think everybody's going to assume this is the point. You got back, you kind of got yourself back on your feet, and you're like, I need to share this message.
Yeah.
Is that when this all started for you about writing and training and?
When I didn't have any intention of doing this stuff when I got back. I actually had I got a therapy dog, Finney, that I take around, for like pure sports stuff, and I was wanting to focus on that. But
wait, your therapy dog?
I have a therapy dog.
What was this?
Finney. I call him Finney.
I thought you said Fanny, and I'm like, Finney. That is not the name for
no. Finney. He's about 110 pound Labradoodle. So
perfect.
He's big boy. He's a big baby, but I love him.
So you got back.
So I got back, and my department asked me if there was several of us that they wanted to know if we would get up and talk about mental health and share a little bit of our stories, and I was like, absolutely.
Wow.
So I got up and I did it, and then it kind of took off from there. And next thing I know, I got departments from all around the county wanting me to come talk, and then I got departments out of state wanting me to come out and talk, and then it turned into traveling to different parts of the country. Right, and then of course I was like, somebody's like, you need to write a book, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to write. They're like, you need to write a book, and I'm like, I'm barely smart enough from putting 2 sentences together, but
right.
So I got into that, and it just kind of took off, and then next thing I know, I'm getting calls from one brother, one sister. Hey, you want to help out? And I'd love to help out. This is exactly what I wanted to do. So it's been good for me. It's given me a purpose, and it's going to give me a purpose out of retirement. When I retire.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of guys become, these professions become their identity. It's who they are. And then it's like the military. Once they get out of the military, they come back. They left that brotherhood. They left that culture, the sisterhood. Yeah. Same with the fire service. And it was my identity for a long time. Well, I've learned now that it's not my whole identity. It's actually was part of my identity. But I got a bigger purpose outside of fire, and we need that. And that's the problem when all these guys they leave these professions. All of a sudden, they're like, now what? Now what am I doing? Well,
they thought what they did was everything about who they were.
Correct.
And what you do lends itself to who you are, but it's not who you are. You're a human being.
Right.
You're living, breathing, mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, whatever you might be, right? Yeah. I'm so proud of you for doing all this stuff. And Karen and I are just thrilled that you're involved with One Brother, One Sister now, and that we're going to be doing some great work together. Yeah. We could see a lot down the road for all of this, but it's really all about creating that awareness. And, we're not going out there saying we're going to save everybody.
No,
we're going out there saying you guys could save each other.
Right.
Start putting these things into practice, start doing more education, make this mandatory. And that's really what we're heading towards. Yeah. Your book, I just want to mention, Unseen Battles. It's about your experience with the trauma and how it caught up to you.
Yep. So it's actually, I didn't want the book to just be about me. I wanted it to be about the whole human struggle. And so the book has actually got part of my story, but then
did that grow as you were writing? You realized this isn't about me.
Yes.
It's about, okay.
It did. All right. So it actually started to, and then I started interviewing like police officers, dispatchers, corrections officers.
Oh, beautiful.
So it's a mixture of my story, and then mixed in is different stories from other first responders and how they struggled and got through everything, and then it's got several self-help stuff in there, and a little bit of the science behind the chemicals and stuff, why we do the things we do. So
yeah, we throw the science out there. You do, I do. We're not claiming to be neurosurgeons, doctors, or closest thing I get to philosopher is without coffee I cannot exist. That's the closest thing I get to philosophical thought. But we do share a little bit of that so that you can go and explore more and learn more, because we had to learn some of that stuff. So that's great. Unseen Battles. Where can people pick that up?
It's on Amazon. Unseen Battles: The Price of Duty, A Life of Trauma and Sacrifice. If you just go in there and put Unseen Battles, Tommy Bolin, it'll pop right up.
It's a good read, folks. I suggest you get into it. Now, your article that you recently did.
Yeah, it just dropped 2 days ago. So.
Wow. And folks, when this airs, in the comments below, you will find the link so you can go see the article yourself. Tell us about what the article's about and where that came from.
It's actually published online through Crackle Magazine, which is a firefighter magazine. Okay. And it was more of just my struggles and what I went through, but it's not just a war story. It actually kind of sheds light on the whole stigma and everything that comes along with the fire service and how we've treated it and how we should. It's all about a cultural shift is what it is. It's written about we need a cultural shift and how we deal with this stuff and how we proceed from here and breaking these walls down, breaking these barriers.
Definitely check it out. Like I said, the link will be down below in the comments. What's next? I mean, I know we're going to be doing some stuff together, but do you have anything that's like in the back of your head saying, you know what, I'd love to get to this point, or I'd love to be able to do this? Where's Tommy going?
Well, hopefully retirement here next March. Not this March coming up, March 2027.
Yeah, I think that's an exact quote from your wife.
Yes, March of 2027. Yeah, right? She's been retired for 5 years, and I'm like, man,
she's just sitting around waiting on you.
Pretty much. No, Dr. Don't tell her that.
She's fantastic.
She's awesome. Yeah, she's an awesome
supportive.
Lady. Very supportive. Loved me through the whole thing. Honestly, biggest part of why I'm around still doing this stuff is because of her, because of that, and my children. So yeah, she's a huge part. She's my rock, huge part of my life that I couldn't imagine being without her. But yeah, other than that, no, just kind of continuing what I'm doing, building off this. I'm super excited to be with One Brother, One Sister and doing this. I can't wait to see where this goes.
So you're certainly planning to continue to train, continue to speak to people beyond the retirement. Even in retirement, like you mentioned, there's a lot of people that have been retired for a little bit.
Yeah.
The uniform identity, a lot of things they're struggling with. If we could find ways to get messages to them as well about, mental health after the service.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I want to ask you just a magic question. 5 years, you can wave a magic wand. You go 5 years from now. What would you love to see happen?
Obviously, I'd love to see a cultural shift on how we deal with mental health. I'd love to see mandatory reporting on all those stuff, and I'd love to see the needle getting shifted to. I mean, obviously, I know in my heart we're not going to save everybody, but if we for me, it's always just been about one person, making one conversation at a time, saving one person at a time. I just want to see this continue. I want to see this continue, and I want to see it get better. I don't think we'll ever go to zero. I would love that. Magic wand, I would love to see it go to zero.
Yeah.
I would love to be put out of a job on this. I would never lecture again if it would go to zero. I'd be happy with that.
Listen, with mental health and addiction, I feel the same way. I mean, I would love to be at a point where I'm not needed anymore.
Yes.
I would love that.
Absolutely.
I'll go to McDonald's, I'll flip fries, I'll do whatever, or flip burgers and dip
I'll be a greeter at Walmart.
I think you better go with the Home Depot. Yeah. I don't see you as the Walmart guy.
I'm pretty much the orange apron guy, so yeah.
But yeah, we'd love to be out of work, but unfortunately, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
No, it's not.
But if we're moving the needle, I'd love to move on to another crisis other than the mental health crisis that we're in, and it is a crisis.
It is.
That brings in all sorts of things, like everything from suicidal problems to addictions to other mental health issues that all come about, and perhaps just some education, understanding, and certainly reducing the stigma could make a big difference in all of that.
Absolutely.
People just need to talk.
They do.
They need to talk. They need to be. One of the things before we go, I want to mention something that there's something that people like to do the hero worship thing. They're like, oh, you're heroes. Oh, you're all just heroes and you're so brave. Sometimes that could almost be damaging, right?
It can. Yeah, I don't like that term, honestly.
A lot of first responders don't.
A lot of us don't. We don't want the limelight. We don't want that. We don't. We're doing our job. First and foremost. But I tell people I serve in a profession of heroes, people who have given their lives for this job. I don't consider myself a hero. I consider I'm just doing my job, and it's just doing the right thing, honestly. And it turns a lot of people off when you throw that hero thing out there all the time.
Well, then
I appreciate it.
It's yes, but it makes it when the more people think of you as a hero, the harder it is to stand up and say, "But I'm flawed. I need help."
Yeah.
So we need to bring that down a little bit. However, to appreciate the service that you're willing to do for us and to do all of those things. I always invite people, especially with fire departments, stop in and meet your local fire. Do you guys do you welcome when people come in and drop off cookies? Come in to say hi. Oh, can my son see the truck?
Yeah.
Isn't that neat interacting with the community?
Oh, awesome. That? Yeah, it's great. We have people stop in, drop off. If you drop off cookies and ice cream, we'll give you the $1 million tour. You kids on the fire truck.
Cookies and ice cream. Okay, that's the secret.
Kids on the fire truck taking pictures, let them play with the stuff on the truck. But no, we love it. We love when parents will stop by every once in a while. Hey, can the kids see the trucks? Absolutely. Bring them in. We'll spend time with them, and they have a ball, and we love that. That's part of the job.
Well, and that connects you to the people.
It does
that you're serving,
yeah.
And it's not like you're going off to a foreign country and fighting a war, which our veterans thank you for doing that. You're working in a community with your neighbors, with your friends, with the kids or the families that play baseball with your kids and those things. So them being a part of your job and you being a part of their community, it's all linked together.
Absolutely.
You really makes a big difference.
Yep, absolutely. But I'm lucky I don't work in the same place I don't work in my hometown. I work in another city a little bit.
But it's still part of it's not like it's hours away or it's not like
30 minutes from where I live.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's all intertwined, it's all part of the job.
So if you want to do something nice, stop in and say thank you.
You don't have to bring ice cream and cookies. Just stop in and say
hey. Just to his department.
Right.
Other ones like pizza and this. No, stop in and say thank you. If you see somebody, if you see a first responder, one of the keepers of our watch, the people who look out for us, if you see them, thank them. Thank them. And you don't have to do the whole worship and the hero thing. Just say thank you for doing what you do. It's appreciated. Yep. That means a lot, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it does. Obviously, we know people appreciate it, but just, hearing it every once in a while, it makes you feel good.
Yeah. And, certainly you guys also do a lot of other things. Check in, find out what's going on. You're always involved in some sort of charity work, food drive, toy drive, this drive, that drive.
Yep.
Pay attention to what's going on, and people should be involved with you.
Yeah. Yeah. We do a lot of activities with the community.
Yeah.
I mean, just I think it was yesterday, the day before, we did a basketball thing with the Special Olympics kids. So they were out there on the court. A lot of fans came out. Our guys played basketball with them, and
that's awesome.
It's awesome. We do a lot of stuff like that.
I do miss the filling of the pools thing. That's an old. They don't do that anymore.
Well, unless you know somebody.
That's the cookies and ice cream.
Unless you know somebody.
I want to thank our special guest Tommy Bolin for being with us. Please, if you go on Amazon, The Unseen Battles, his book, check it out. Also, in the comments, check out the link for his latest article that just came out. You want to read that. And Tommy, is there a way somebody could reach out and talk to you or get some information about you? Do you have a website or anything? Or
I do have a website, but it's probably gonna be going away here pretty soon. But I do have but they could get on I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on all the social media sites. So, and
we are also putting if you keep track of onebrother1sister.com. Tommy's going to be joining our ranks, and we're going to have information about him and links to all of his stuff there too. So you want to check that out. Tom, thanks a lot, brother.
Scott, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate all of you for watching. please take a moment while you're watching the show, like the channel, share it with your friends, certainly comment. It's important to us. It means a whole lot. Again, for one brother, one sister, right here at the Sober Life Studio, this has been the Keepers of the Watch podcast. I'm your host, Scott Jones. We will catch you next time.